Another edition of the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show. It's awesome to be here with all of you. We got a fantastic show coming up here. Another great guest coming on. He was on yesterday, actually. So first back-to-back in a little while. It's very exciting. We have a lot going on in Philly sports. Phillies completed a sweep. The Flyers, a very exciting double OT game. It's so exciting. As always, joined alongside Gavin Tony. We just got here right in time. At least I did. We're getting Gavin your laptop all set up and good to go. So it looks like we worked. We're on time. We're here. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, and not a great technical week. Technology for me. Computers have not been my favorite aspect of this week. I've been losing. I took so many L's to computers this week, but I made it. That's all that matters. I made it. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here. We got one more day this week, wrapping up, I think, week 13. A lot of exciting things going on here. We are super ecstatic to be here today. We have a lot to go over, a lot of sports to go over, a lot of exciting sports in Philadelphia, the most exciting team in Philly. The competition right now, Gavin, between the Flyers and the Phillies. Before we get to that, and yes, Gavin's got the mug. Before we get to that, we got to talk about the NBA playoffs. Gavin, did you have a chance to watch or at least hear about the Raptors-Celtics series last night?
That was a great game last night. Listen, Zach, they thought it was over. They thought they won. And OG, I'm a butcher his last name. Evan Mobley hit a game winner. Third youngest to hit a game winner behind Luka Doncic, who recently just did it, and somebody else have slipped my mind. I believe the series is over still. I don't think there's a chance for them to come back. I think it was nice for them to get win. They barely almost won. They were losing
by 1 point.
For a little bit. Won by 1 point. But no, that was a great shot by Anunoby, and that was just a great game all around, Zach.
No doubt. I mean, I'm going to read the box score here. We got OG Anunoby had 12 points and 10 boards, also 3 steals and 2 blocks. That's insane. Pascal Siakam, 16 points, Gasol, 10, Van Vliet, 25, Kyle Lowry, 31.
Wow.
I mean, Siakam's been struggling in this series, Gavin. They only had 10 bench points last night. Yeah, no, that was a struggle. This series is still beyond over, in my opinions. I think that the Raptors do get one more, but I think that the Celtics for sure win it in at least 6.
Well, I think it's over in 5. I think the Celtics win in 5. Look, last night looked really good, but your star, who is Pascal Siakam, is struggling badly.
Really struggling.
I think when people try to make Pascal Siakam be this type star that he was some male to be, but I don't think he's that guy. I don't think he's the answer guy. He needed a Kawhi Leonard. That's why last year was perfect for him, because Kawhi took the double teams and he just took all the shots.
No doubt. No, he's definitely a good player last year. I mean, it's the heart of the champion. You can't count him out yet. Great year for them so far. Props to Nick Nurse on where they've been able to get this year after losing out on a guy like Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, no, Nick Nurse is arguably, I know we go back and forth between Nick Nurse and Eric Spoelstra being coach of the year, and arguably Billy Donovan too. But Nick Nurse is, your team's been written off ever since they lost Kawhi Leonard. Once Kawhi left, so did your championship, even though it's still there. And you know who really deserves a big credit that doesn't get it? Masai Ujiri.
Definitely.
Listen, you trade away coach of the year and you get rid of the face of the franchise, which is DeMar DeRozan. You bring in a guy that barely plays, nor to want to be there, and you get a new coach, and then you
win. Assistant coach from the year before.
Exactly, and you win a championship off that. Who does that?
Nah, it's executive of the year. He's a fantastic coach. They made a really, really big decision. They said, you know what, we're not going to keep winning the way that we're going. We have success in the regular season. We struggle in the postseason. They got swept by LeBron James and the Cavaliers that year, and when they were the 1 seed, they really flipped house, something the Sixers, similar to what the Sixers need to do. Obviously, you don't want to trade your superstar, but you trade a guy like DeMar DeRozan, Gavin. I mean, that's big. And then you fire a guy who won Coach of the Year. They made a big decision, and it paid off big for them in a very big way.
And they were number 1 in the East, too, when all that went down.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they were number 1. So it's a big move by them, and a lot of credit goes to him. For those who maybe weren't aware of what happened right after they won the NBA Finals, unfortunate to see what happened to him, but he's been a very mature, great member of that front office, and he even expressed interest in going to the Knicks to fix their problems, Gavin. I wonder how you think about that.
Well, Masai, I wouldn't touch the Knicks, all right? Even you couldn't fix the Knicks, and I love Masai. But no, congratulations to him winning the championship. I'm really disappointed in the cops at the end of the finals, showing Masai Ujiri and making him seem like this bad person. That's shame on you guys. But all in all, Zach, I wouldn't touch the Knicks, and Masai Ujiri's one of the greatest GMs behind Jerry Krause, obviously.
No doubt, and his players like him on Krause, but we've covered that a lot more. It reminds us of the Last Dance back when that was the only live sporting event that we really had. But no, definitely. So we are going to shift over to the other game, Clippers and Nuggets. I personally had the Nuggets winning last night. I was very wrong, 23-point blowout loss, Gavin. But as I predicted from the series before, Nuggets cooled off a lot. I mean, Jamal Murray really cooled off past 2 games. He was not good in Game 7 for those who don't remember, but. This series is over, I'm guessing, in your opinion, Gavin. I mean, at this point, I think it's pretty obvious that it's over, but what are some of your thoughts on that?
I go 5 games still, and I'm just being generous because I genuinely care about the Denver Nuggets. But Zach, I said it yesterday on the show. I said Jamal Murray's going to meet his match, and what I mean by meet his match, I'm talking Patrick Beverly. Pat Beverly came down and Jamal Murray and scored 12 points, ladies and gentlemen. Jamal Murray only had 12 points. Jokic only had 15. This is a great defensive team. And the Clippers, they are. Morris comes off the bench with 12 points. Paul Millsap with 13. Jeremy Grant with 12.
Bol got some useless minutes.
Bol got 4 minutes. I told you he was going to play, Zach. And as well, too, you look at Leonard. Leonard had 29. Morris had 18. Playoff P at 19. Lou Will, 10. Montrezl Harrell, 15. Pat Bev only had 8, but it was his defense that really mattered. So, Zach, this series is over.
Yeah, no doubt. So now moving forward here to tonight's games. First, Gavin, the Heat and the Bucks. Me personally, I think that the Heat lose tonight. I think the Bucks do step it up tonight and they do win. We'll see how it happens. But if the Heat win, the series is over. If the Bucks win, it's still a series.
I want to say Heat tonight, and the reason why is they're on a roll right now. All right, even though it looked like last game the Bucks should have won, obviously tacky foul goes back to what I'm saying, soft NBA. At some point, you gotta let the men play. They didn't want to play at the end of the game. They lose. You know how that ends. Zach, for me to say that Bucks win tonight, there's 2 things that have to work in that favor. Chris Middleton and Eric Bledsoe. Neither one of those guys have done more than anything. It's Giannis versus all out there. That's how I'm rolling with the Heat tonight. I think Jimmy Butler comes out with Bam Adebayo. They win, and 25 points for Jimmy Butler, and maybe Tyler Hero comes out with 20.
It's believable, and I do have another question for you here. I think it was 2 days ago that this came out that they spoke about Giannis, about Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen comparison. They said he's more of a Pippen and he needs a Jordan. Now, he didn't refer to the skill sets. I mean, defensively they could have, but they were referring to the fact that he needs another dominant star that can really help them get to that next level. Scottie Pippen spoke about this yesterday. He said, I've never won back-to-back MVPs in a few days. Giannis will. So he was not thrilled with the comparison at all because he thinks that it looks down on Giannis and it doesn't look at his skill set. And I understand it, but I definitely think that Giannis still needs a dominant player around him. You give him like a Donovan Mitchell or like a Jamal Murray, it's game over. You give him a legitimate shooting guard. I think that the small forward position is not the right position to work on with Chris Middleton. I think you need a really strong 2. And if you can get a good 2 guard, you're sold. Honestly, I mean, you give him like Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan, that team would never lose a game. But that's my thought process on that. But Gavin, based on what Scotty said, I mean, he threw a shade over at who said it. But besides that, talking about the reality that kind of a Batman and Robin situation or Pippen and Jordan situation in this case. Overall, what are your thoughts? Do you think he needs that dominant star, or he just needs the right complementary piece? That's 2 different questions there. And then, what are your thoughts on Pippen's response as a whole?
Well, I'm gonna start off. The guy that said that was RJ Richard Jefferson, and I think that's really inaccurate to say that about Giannis Antetokounmpo. But listen, Zach, to answer your first question, he could use somebody else. He could use a more what's the word I'm looking for? Oh yeah, more consistent. Chris Middleton in the playoffs is not consistent. Neither is Eric Bledsoe. They're doing enough to get by during the year. More Giannis than ever. Zach, so when you want to talk about Pippen and Jordan, he doesn't. You don't talk down Giannis's game. All right, I kind of view and I'm not trying to compare him any way, shape, or form. I view Giannis as a Jordan really because he's the guy. Like Scottie Pippen knew Michael Jordan was the guy when he got there, but Scottie knew that Michael needed him too. That's why they won so many rings together. He's the guy. As a Scottie Pippen's response, spot on. He's not wrong. Don't talk down his game, and he says unfair comparison. And I don't think it was really in any shade whatsoever. He was being honest. Also too, the game has changed. Zach, people, back in his day, power forwards weren't doing what Giannis does now. Okay, they weren't doing it back in the day. I do believe that in duo terms, Giannis is the Michael Jordan, and he could use like a Pippen, or if you want to take it in a different way, he just needs somebody that's more consistent. Even if it doesn't form up to another star level, he could use somebody that's more consistent.
Yeah, no, they need something.
They need something.
And I mean, you don't know he's staying this year. We talked about it yesterday, but you need something.
So literally, it's like after we hopped off the show, there was a report that the Heat and the Raptors are up there, and I think Golden State follows behind them.
And then Dallas, I spoke Dallas yesterday. I think it's going to be interesting. But the final game tonight, Gavin, I know you've been predicting a lot about it, but we'll see what happens. I'm checking the time here. It starts at 9:00 tonight. The Houston Rockets and Los Angeles Lakers, game number 1. Gavin, who are you taking?
Taking the Rockets. James Harden had a horrible shooting day, horrible offensive game. He got locked up by an undrafted rookie named Dort. Not to be rude, but he's irrelevant. So, not to be rude, I just don't know his first name because that's how irrelevant he was at the time. His name is Dort. All right, he's going to know about his Dort. He locked up James Harden and gave him a 30-piece. You don't think James Harden was pissed off about that? You heard it in his post-game sack, and I'm not going to repeat it, but he played like you know what, and he said it out of his own mouth. I think James Harden comes off tonight and shows us why he's MVP or was a former MVP, arguably one of the best scorers of today's league, top 5 in my honest opinion. And I think the Rockets come out to win 120-110.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I think that the Lakers do win tonight. They show who they're dominant. I think that it's important that we talk about the fact that they have no big, and Anthony Davis and JaVale McGee are going to take advantage of that tonight, and they're going to have success. Playoff LeBron is activated. I think the Lakers in 5 or 6, possibly 7, but I can't see the Lakers losing this series right now.
I think the key for the Rockets to win this is you guys shoot the ball well. They haven't shot.
All you need for the Rockets, they need 4 games where they shoot better than the Lakers.
Exactly.
They're going to
do that.
In my opinion, the Rockets are going to need all 7 games because they are going to have some off nights. Like you say, Gavin, live by 3. That's why a 7-game series is not bad for them. But
that's why I said win a 7.
That's too hard of a match for them.
That's why I said win a 7. Look, Zach, in the series, they're up 2-1 versus the Lakers. No one understands that. All right, they beat them twice already in a series.
Games, Gavin. I mean, it's not the playoffs.
I get it, Zach, but still. That's 2 games. Those 2 games mean something. I know the state.
They definitely do. They mean that they're definitely a team that
it's doable. It means it's doable.
I think that in order for the Lakers to win the series, they need to, in a game where they're not shooting as good as the Rockets, they still need to find a way to pull it off, and they got to win on the glass, in my opinion. You need all every time a shot goes up for the Lakers, there needs to be AD or McGee there to get the rebound for the offense. I think offensive boards are key in the series.
Offensive boards are key in the series because the Lakers don't shoot the ball well, and I think for the Rockets, you got every shot has to go in. Well, not every shot, but you know you're not going to get a defensive rebound.
They need to be shooting close to 50% from the field.
Exactly.
Anything under 40, and they get cold tonight, Gavin. They'll go from 50 to 30%.
And if you want to do that, you gotta get Anthony Davis in foul trouble for Russell Westbrook to drive down. I don't think Russell Westbrook's too scared of JaVale McGee. It's more AD. AD is a monster.
It goes down there, dude. But the problem here's a question there for you, Gavin. They can get speed if they're getting down there quick. Do you think that the Lakers make the adjustment at some point, putting AD at the 5 and then starting either Kuzma or moving someone else around? Because Davis can move. He's not gonna have a problem. McGee and Howard are going to be the issue. If you have a lot of guys on the court that are faster than you and you can't get back in time, you're going to have some problems.
Well, I kind of look at it as a foot race, really. The Rockets in transition is arguably one of the best in the league. They could do it. They got Russell Westbrook.
Davis has to get back. That's the key. Or LeBron.
Davis has to get back. Davis. I don't think LeBron's defense has also gone down as of recently too. He's less efficiently on defense. I don't know if you've seen it, but he's done less. But Zach, I believe if it transition, Anthony Davis has to get back. But Russell Westbrook that's why they moved.
It's like almost like Ben Simmons. Like Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
If you're going downhill, like Russell Westbrook's almost guaranteed to score. But the
No
scary
doubt.
part is when James Harden's working on some of these younger guards they have, or you like some guys that are, I don't know when Rondo's coming back, but you got Danny Green, you got a couple other guys, Alex Caruso. I hope he's not on him at all because he was unloaded at some points in the last series. But look, man, you destroy the momentum of the Rockets. Like the Blazers had a lot of momentum going into it. If you destroy their momentum, the Rockets' momentum, that is, then it's gonna be an easy win. But
Well,
it's gonna take 5 or 6 games for sure.
it's going to go to 7. That's the only way they win. They're not going to win in 4 or 5. It's going to have to be anything past that. It's because they're shooting. If Russell Westbrook shoots the ball well too, if the MVP Russell Westbrook shows up in this series where it didn't matter what he was doing, whether he was shooting mid ranges and not airballing them or driving to the lane and effectively or just shooting a 3 ball at a somewhat decent rate, they're going to win this series. It relies on Russ and how hard he's shooting and how and the transition game. They're going to use it.
You gotta find a way to stop that. I mean, if you got to start Kuzma over McGee, I mean that's what's going to take you. You're going to need a smaller, faster lineup, and you're going to have 40-minute starters. These guys are going to have to start playing 40 minutes if they start feeling threatened. Fortunately, in the Blazer series, the Lakers were able to get out of that, but I mean, we'll have to see what happens. It's definitely another struggle, Gavin. We are one series closer to a Lakers Clippers Western Conference Final, which was my prediction in the beginning of the year. Probably almost everybody's prediction in the beginning of the year, to be honest, but we'll see what happens. That's for sure.
Well, Zach, I also think about in this regards as well is LeBron's getting older too, right? Luckily, they had a long rest, but LeBron going to keep playing these 40-minute plus
He'll be
games.
fine. He'll be fine.
They always say he'll be fine, but
And he always is fine.
okay, but Zach, you remember he was tired in the Warriors series where he had to take a depleted Cleveland team to the playoff or to the finals.
We got Anthony Davis now. That takes so much off of him.
Anthony Davis is soft too. Anthony Davis is another Joel Embiid.
He had a few games in that Blazers series where he was really the dominant player. Game 2, LeBron didn't do anything. You were mad on the show because LeBron didn't do anything. AD was the one who did stuff.
I'm talking more as a physical. Anthony Davis is like a Joel Embiid when it comes to getting hurt.
Yeah, he starts pulling up those 15 footers. If he makes them, it's fine. If he misses, it's a problem.
If Anthony Davis at game 1 shows up for the whole series, and that's a problem.
We'll have to see what happens without a doubt. But other than that, Gavin, we got about 2-3 minutes here before we get into the boys of Broad Street. But first of all, let's talk about it. The Philadelphia Phillies are continuing to be red hot.
Real team right here.
A spectacular finish last night and a sweep. They play the Mets today now. Will it continue, Gavin, and how do you feel about this team right now?
I'm going to take it game by game, Zach, the majority. I take it game by game. Look, this win streak can end at any time. All right? It really could. And I appreciate JT Realmuto acknowledging that he's not doing anything right now.
Yeah, he's been struggling the past 4 or 5 games, give or take.
He knows it. And I like when people realize what's going on, what's wrong. Honestly, I don't see them losing. I see them, once again, guys, ladies and gentlemen, I stress the majority. Okay, the Mets hit a walk-off home run because of Aroldis Chapman blew a save. So, Zach, what I'm trying to say is this. When it comes to this series coming off the Phillies, the key is the majority and do what you were doing, what's been working. Whatever's been working, you got to keep doing it.
I mean, the pitching's been, for the most part, good. Even in the games where they struggled, the offense is able to fight back. But I'm going to take a look here for the Phillies. They have this 4-game series against the Mets, and then they're playing the Red Sox again. And then, Gavin, mark your calendar. Thursday, September 10th, 6 days from now, they're playing the Marlins. Are they getting their revenge?
Well, if the Marlins go to Magic City, I think we'll be okay. But I don't think they're going anytime soon. So we're going to be in for a nice little battle.
No, we'll have to see. And we're talking about here with the MLB, the standings. I always pull them up every day here. Continuing, the Miami Marlins have taken a step back. The Phillies are 18-15 at 2.5 games back. And the Marlins are 4 games back now. We're starting to make some nice separation there. Again, Cubs and Cardinals are at the front there. Dodgers continuing to roll through. Again, Padres are right behind them at 6 games back. And then 5 games back for the Yankees. They've really fallen off. And nothing else really specific here. The White Sox only a half game back of the Indians. Now that's starting to become closer of a series. So, yeah, it's interesting. We're taking a look here. We're seeing a lot of the changes here in the MLB. We got the NFL starting in just 6 days. So, a lot going on there. The Eagles had a couple of different things that they're looking at as far as cutting guys so they can get down their roster. They cut 2 really good running backs that were promising, but they're probably going to sign at least one of them. Sign at least one of them in the practice squad, and then just talking about guys like Sidney Jones, who have been hurt a lot of camp. Craig James, they just signed to an extension, so it does not look good for Jones at all. Jones is my most improved player candidate this year for the team. I hope that he can come out and do it. But other than that, Gavin, anything else you want to touch on here before we get to our more exciting topic of the day? I guess I'd say with the Philadelphia Flyers.
Well, Zach, around the NFL real quick, and now touching the Phillies, or so the Eagles, excuse me. Washington cut Adrian Peterson, so I have no idea who's running the ball for them this year. They cut him, yeah, this morning. They cut him this morning. That was breaking news, ladies and
Are
gentlemen.
you serious? Hold on a minute. I have in
confirmed.
fantasy.
That's confirmed. Oh, you do have him in fantasy? Oh man, all those Antonio Brown jokes you made.
I drafted him late. I'm not. I think that's a little different. Wouldn't you say?
Okay, so yes, my first
one's like my 8th round pick, like my 4th string.
All right, Zach, we get it. I spent a first round pick. You spent an 8th round. All right, thank you. Now, when it comes to the Eagles, look, I think Sidney Jones has to prove something this year. If he even plays this year, Sidney Jones had hype coming into the league, underperformed. He was hurt a lot of times when he was there.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, confirmed source. But I just think Sidney Jones, his time here is over after this year, regardless of what happens. They're gonna move on from him.
It just sucks for a guy that he can't stay healthy. I mean, you see it happen all the time, and I mean, it's just unfortunate.
And when he was there, he underperformed.
Good end of the year. Actually, statistically, he was actually a really good corner last year. He had that big breakup in the Dallas Cowboys game. But other than that, I mean, we have. How's your confidence feeling right now, Gavin, on football? I mean, you think it's going to happen now? I mean, we're looking at the same thing with baseball. They're in their own stadiums, not in the bubble. But I mean, this is a little bit more of a contact sport, so there could be more cross-team spread we're looking at. Again, you can't do jersey swaps after games, but you can tackle for an hour. So anything else you want to touch on here with your confidence for this team? Or I'm sorry, for the league.
Well, for the league, I'm seeing at 40%. 40%, I believe, is going to finish. 100 cents obviously is going to start, but 40% chance of it finishing, maybe a little bit lower than that. Zach, it's about tackling, about context. That's the stupidest thing. I can't switch a jersey after I went through 60 minutes. That's dumb. Roger, do better. Look, Zach, when it comes to the NFL, I get worried about the traveling. It's a lot of traveling.
MLB, they're not just staying in their divisions like the baseball.
Exactly. MLB, they're saying their respective divisions. The farthest you have to go is Miami or Magic City, the Marlins. That's the farthest you have to go. Zach, you don't got to go where vice versa. Eagles not to go all the way to Dallas. Like they have to go all the way to Dallas. It's just traveling, and
go all the way to San Fran too.
Exactly. Cases in all different states is going to be the hard part. That's why I'm not fond of the season finishing. Will it get started? Of course it will. Will it finish? I have no idea.
No, we'll have to see what happens. I've read possibility of a playoff bubble for some of these different situations. Same with baseball.
That'll be smart.
We got 6 days until that. It's exciting, at least for now, to be able to take a look at football. But speaking of talking about some sports, especially the ones in the bubble, starting up in Toronto. Coming up after this, we are talking about the Philadelphia Flyers, who are off back-to-back overtime wins. First time in franchise history. It's crazy here for the playoffs. So we have our good friend Chris coming on right after this. We are now offering a new product on our Teespring. Wear a mask in public. We are now supporting a custom-designed mask with our logo on it. Purchase it today, and 10% goes to a foundation of our viewer's choice. It offers a full nose and mouth coverage, single-sided print, includes 2 2-inch elastic ear loops, non-medical grade product, and finally, $1 from every mask sale is donated to a nonprofit to feed children in need. Enjoy today's episode. And welcome back now. I don't think my heart rate's been this high, Gavin. I'd probably say the last time it was that Eagles-Saints game when Alshon had that drop interception. And I'm referring obviously to the double overtime game last night, bringing in, even though we had him on yesterday, back-to-back days. Chris, how are you doing today? We saw very excited on the Flyers Fan Mania 93. I had a very, very, very good at explaining the emotions of how we all felt after that game.
Yeah, that was I've never seen a game like that, dude. Like that was I still have no words. I still can't believe they won the game. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad they won and move on to Game 7.
No doubt. I mean, I'm excited personally. I got my Flyers. Had actually got this at that Bruins game, the last one before the hiatus began. I mean, they lost that night, but I mean, they've had a great year. We talked yesterday, kind of like we knew that possibility, the time was up. Although we still have confidence here for this team. I mean, we remember that Bruins series from 2010. You're down 3-0. You're down 3-0 in Game 7, and then you come back and win. You get to go to the Stanley Cup. Carter Hart was spectacular last night. I mean, they let in 4 goals, but over 50 shots on goal.
Yeah.
They were if they actually the Flyers shot the same amount as the Islanders, they probably would have like 8 goals just according to that math. I know. I mean, it definitely does change, but
yeah.
No, I mean they looked aggressive last night. A lot of hits for sure on both sides. We saw a lot going on there. You saw Sean Couturier watching in the stands. You had just a really great game as a whole, and it was very exciting. It was nerve-wracking. Again, similar story from the first 2 wins they had, where they scored early, allowed them to come back. We got that 4th goal, ended up going to overtime, and then we had a double OT. So overall, just some of the thoughts from the game, some key things that you want to point out. I mean, I remember you pointed out yesterday some of the coaching flaws, even though how good Vigneault is as a coach. You definitely said you pointed out a few things there. Sometimes it looks like they are taking that extra pass, one too many. We've seen that a lot. So I'm curious to get some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, like, to me, for the most part, I think it's just they can't like consistently play the game, and it's been a problem. But the way that I talked about it yesterday, like the way that it's been trending for them these last couple games, it's really gonna bode well for them in the 7th game. To be honest with you, I think it's just when they get the lead, it just seems like they want to sit back. And I know we talked about it yesterday. I'm fine with them sitting back, but it's the turnovers and everything. I mean, turnovers cost them for majority of this game. I mean, I think one of the reasons why they gave up, I think the Islanders did 53 shots on goal. One of the reasons for that was because they were so efficient in their own zone. And the thing is it seemed like the Islanders would just, they get it, and then they just go right up. Like there was like there's like no hesitation, where if you're the Flyers, you notice a lot of times they drop the puck back, and they kind of do a little too much in their own zone, and sometimes it hurts them. So to me, it just seemed like there was a lot of it just seemed like the last game was really that game where they played a lot with instinct instead of actually playing with their head. And if they play with their head, they'd make the smarter play. I mean, to me, I think there was a lot of guys that looked a little iffy last night. I know Sanheim was one of them, had, a turnover on the 1 goal that gave the Islanders the lead at the end of the 2nd period, which was killer going into that 3rd. But again, to me, there was a lot of things. I didn't like AV challenging that the 2nd goal. That was kind of odd that was a goal because the thing is, the official ruling was that Cizikas wasn't able to. He wasn't able to, like. I think it was that the way that he went down, he wasn't able to avoid the contact with Hart. So that was why they ended up calling that a goal. But again, and then the thing is they score on that power play. So that right there, I mean, you give up 2 goals like that, it's not something that you want to do. And again, the Islanders are a very good team, but the thing is they just can't finish it right now. And that's the thing. I mean, they should have won last night. They really should have. They dominated the whole game for a majority of it. I thought the Flyers dominated the whole 2nd overtime, to be honest with you. And I think for the most part, I think they played really good in overtime. Obviously, Lindblom, I thought was really good last night. He had 2 hits, block shot. I think he had around almost 18 minutes of ice time, obviously playing 5 periods, added more. And then Alain Vigneault said he probably used him more than he wanted to because, again, they weren't looking to kill him either. I thought he played pretty good for his first game back. Made a couple smart plays. But again, overall, I thought it was a good game. And the thing was, like, the best thing to me, the 3 best things out of this game were Lindblom, Carter Hart, and the Flyers were scoring on their chances. I mean, they had 5 goals and 31 shots. They had pretty much an average game of shots, where the Islanders had a 5 overtime game of shots there. So they had 53. Hart was phenomenal. He kept them in it for majority of it. Had a couple of really good saves in overtime. And again, they just live the fight another day, and they're moving on to Game 7.
Chris, I came on here yesterday and I said, I think it's over for the Flyers. So I kind of wasn't really upset. Last night, talking to Matt, one of our great friends of the show, it was a lot of roller coaster emotions in the PlayStation party. It was a whole bunch of screaming. We were happy, then we were mad. The Flyers were up big at one point. Then they come back and they give up a goal, and next thing you know, we're going into overtime. 2 overtimes to be exact. First of all, How amazing is Carter Hart? He just saved everything after that.
And like it's not even like it's, to me. I still don't I still can't. I still can't put it together that the kid is 22 years old. Like it's just insane to me because I've never seen a goaltender do that, and he's broken so many records already, like in the Flyers, franchise history and things like that. I think he's already top 10 in playoff wins as a goaltender, and they've only won 7 games. So I mean, he's already up there. So that's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of things. I think he also holds the record. I know he's like top 5 in saves in a playoff game too, in franchise history. So that's another thing. But again, I mean, he is just so dialed in, and like there's times when the Islanders had their chances. I mean, they had the shorthanded 2-on-1. They had so many chances in the overtime to score, and Hart just did not. He just looked so into it and focused. And I had a feeling. I was like, after that 4th goal that he gave up, I was like, this kid's not giving up another goal. Like, I just had that feeling because of the way that the goal went in off the turnover. It was a snipe, too. It was a great shot by Barzal. And again, it's one of them things where I'm like, he's going to come out with some fire to play in the third period. And he did. I mean, he played good. And then the Flyers, they get the tying goal. But again, like, man, like he was just so good last night, really dialed in. He made saves when they needed him to. And he was one of the biggest reasons why they won last night. I mean, he was phenomenal. And I wouldn't be surprised if a different team comes out for Game 7 because, I mean, if they play like they did in Game 6, for the most part, they didn't really deserve the win at times because it seemed like they were, just slow to puck. I mean, they had 7 shots the first 28 minutes of this game. The Islanders were just so ready, and they were just very – it just seemed like they were, more just so hungrier than the Flyers to get the puck out of the zone quicker and things like that. And again, obviously, no Couturier didn't help the Flyers either. So that's another thing you have to think of. One thing was that he was in the stands. That's another thing. But again, Hart, I mean, geez, man, he really kept them in that game for a majority of it.
Without Hart, we're both singing a different tune. I think we lose without Hart. And I gotta ask you, I emphasized defense yesterday. I'm gonna emphasize it again. The defense did not look great last night at all. Especially, you gotta look at how many open. Like there was a breakaway that Hart luckily saved almost barely. And yeah.
I mean, like for the most part, I mean they've been decent at times, but it's the consistent effort that they just can't bring. I mean, there's no reason why you should. Like, to me, they had a pretty good first period. For them, only having 5 shots on goal, you scored twice. Okay, now let's wake up here in the second period. Well, that didn't happen. So it's going into the trend. Like it was really moving into the trend of games 3 and 4, where like they kind of got outplayed the whole game, and it was kind of just like, to me, the way that they were trending in play and just the way that their defense was, it was like, it just seems like the Islanders, once they get it, they're moving it right up the ice. While the Flyers want to hesitate the whole time, and that's their problem. Islanders are a different team compared to others. They really remind me of Montreal. Just they have more skill, and that can kill you. Because what we saw versus Montreal, fast, skilled, and I should say fast and physical. The Islanders are fast, physical, and they're skilled too. So the thing is that it's tougher with the Islanders because if you have a crucial break like they did on the 4th goal, it's in the back of your net. So the defense is going to have to sharpen it up if they want to, move into this next round and win this Game 7. I think it will, because we've seen it at times where they've just been so like they've just been like that, like really, like defensively sound in their own zone. They can move it up quick. And I think one thing is that just the way that the Islanders defended in their own zone they didn't give the Flyers much. And you guys know, I mean, the Flyers have scored many goals from going low to high in the corners back to the point and over, and they've scored on that many times in this series. So they're going to have to continue that. And again, like the Islanders, they're a team where they don't give up much. So that's really, and to me, that 3rd goal from Michael Raffl is really what the Flyers have to do. I mean, you got to get pucks on net because, again, Varlamov, very good goaltender if he can see it. If he can't see it, it's going to go in the net, or there's going to be, second, third opportunities. So he is going to have to, it's going to be tough for him to save those chances. I mean, you guys saw it on the Raffl goal. I mean, it's a wide open rebound.
Compared to see it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, and that's your 4th line out there. That's cycling. You get a good play by Albie Kubel, throws it to the net, and they tie the game. It's a new game from there. So again, it's things like that they're going to have to adjust on. And I think they did a pretty good job of that for most part of the game. Just the consistent effort just wasn't there. And that's the thing. I mean, like it's funny because the amount of times we could sit here and you know and just have like these nitpicky things about this player and this player and you know this play or whatever, but it's like, you know, to me at the end of the day it doesn't matter as long as they win the game. Like if they would have lost that game, we probably could have had 18 different things right now that we could have been saying about who did this wrong and whatnot, but they won the game. So the thing is I think the biggest thing is the bounce back for them. So if anything, if they can bounce back now, which they most likely will, I mean, you get 2 overtime wins. You play with a guy who he just came off a cancer diagnosis. This is really looking good. And the Flyers, all the momentum is in their court right now. I mean, they have everything right now. And that's the thing. It's like they have literally all the momentum in the world. So they have to take advantage of it and they got to move on. And then, you know, we can win this game 7.
I mean, you said it before. Hockey's the game of momentum. It's in our. I mean, it appears to be on our side right now. You said with Oscar, it's just that's been a great story for them. Just kind of motivating them throughout. I mean, it was December that he was diagnosed, and he had to abruptly stop playing. So they watched him go through this whole thing and the whole process of being able to get back on the ice, just practicing with the team, and now actually playing, getting out there, getting some hits. So that's motivating and inspiring for them. I mean, for any sports fan, it's a great story, and it could potentially be part of what could be a possible trophy being raised in Philly, not to get ahead or anything, but it could definitely be part of a great story. And so, like you said, I mean, we see a few things too. You see Carter Hart getting a little bit more conservative in the overtimes, holding onto the puck instead of just trying to get it out quickly. I think that was a big adjustment that I noticed. And then, like you said, I mean, they had a few times where they had a guy over in the middle of the ice and they couldn't get it to him for what could have been a great score. That's honestly picture perfect in hockey, to center it from one of the wings and to shoot it on goal. But like you said, sometimes you just got to be more aggressive and you got to shoot it if you know you don't force the puck somewhere else. If they do that in Game 7, they keep that momentum. The defense looks as good as it did at the end of the overtime. I think that they are in a good situation.
Yeah, same here. And I think the one thing is that with Hart, it's like when you're stuck in your own zone for a long time, you just want to get a face-off. Because the thing was, the Islanders actually have done really well against face-off, or for the face-offs against the Flyers, just because, I mean, to me, like the Flyers, like in numbers wise, the Flyers are the number 1 face-off team in the league. They win a lot of face-offs, and sometimes they dominate in the face-off circle. It's been close. I mean, the Flyers in some of the games, it's been 51% face-offs to 49. I mean, that's how close it's been. They haven't really been able to get these timely draws. That's been something they've struggled with. Power play, it seems like they can't win the face-off, and then you guys know how it is. Once they get out of the zone, they can't set it back up, getting back in. So that's the biggest thing. I mean, the draw is huge. So for Hart, I think it's big for them, you know, just to get a reset. And there's times when it seemed like they iced the puck a lot in the first overtime, but they were winning the draws. So I was fine with it as long as they were winning the draw, because then again, if you're able to just move it out quick and, you know, and get the line and get it deep, then I'm fine with it. So again, I don't necessarily mind them, you know, playing conservative or playing back to whatever, or just trying to get a face off and cover up the puck. If they do it right. If they do it wrong, then obviously we're going to have a problem with it. But there's many things that can go into it. So again, I think that's probably the biggest thing, is just to get the whistle and just move from there. But as to go on your point with the offense, I think to me it's just they got to be, you know, quicker with the passes. It just seems like it seemed like that game had a lot of plays where everybody just met at the red line. It was like, you know, it was kind of like a tennis match. You're just chipping the puck back and forth. And that was kind of like what it was for the most part in a little bit of that second overtime, where there was, I think they went like 6 minutes with no whistle, and there might have been maybe one shot on goal. I mean, that's how tight it was in the second overtime. And the Flyers broke through on a broken stick, which is just crazy because honestly, to me, it's just, if he doesn't break his stick there, that's a shot on goal right, or it could get blocked. And if the Flyers were to go the other way, then that defenseman is still there, and the Flyers probably don't have that chance, because you guys know how the Islanders are. They clog everything in the middle, and the Flyers get everything to the outside. So it's funny to me. I was like, because as soon as that play opened up, I was like, this is it, skate, because he had the broken stick, and he was screwed because it was either Mayfield had to stay or go to the bench, and he trended towards going to the bench, but then he had to go back to the play because it was at the blue line already. So it would have been a 2-on-1 the other way, and that could have been a lot easier scoring chance. But again, you know, going back to your point, I think the one thing that they really have to do is just simplify things. If they can just move it quicker, get the red line and get in there, they've done a really good job of getting in on the Islanders' defense these last 3 games, and it generates a lot of chances for them. I mean, they had that chance where the puck literally just trickled along the line when they got in on the forecheck, and then they had the chance behind the net from Hayes where he centered it in front. So they had a lot of chances from that, and I think that's going well for them.
No,
I
definitely.
gotta. Yeah, go ahead, Zach.
I think my big thing too, and I'm sure it was incredibly nerve wracking for you as well. I think it was the end of the third period.
Yeah.
You have a 5-on-4. We know how not great they are in the power play, but certainly doesn't help it was multiple times. It wasn't just on that, but I saw a little bit of lack of discipline on some of the trippings, and then that overlaid into the power play for I think 40 seconds into that.
Yeah.
Overtime. So,
Yeah.
Are there concerns for you at all for that discipline, or is that more of an uncharacteristic thing that you saw last night, and it's more of an isolated incident that's not going to be a concern in Game 7?
Well, I mean, to me, for the power play that gave the Islanders the power play at the end of the third period, I think it was a trip on Braun, which that's a play where you probably are expecting him not to call that in a tied game with 2 minutes left in an elimination game. It's one of them timely calls where you probably don't want that. To be honest with you, the Sanheim penalty he kind of had to take. He did, but he didn't because of the way Connecting had back-checked on it. He didn't have to take it. So, yes, it negated the power play. But, again, to me, I don't really think it's a lack of discipline. I think it's just them playing with instinct than it is because they've taken penalties, but they've been able to kill them off. And, I mean, they took 6 penalties in this game. I mean, they had some where they were lazy penalties. They were ones that's kind of like, are you kidding me? Like there was one on a slash, I think it was on Hayes, and it like just tipped his stick. I mean, it's like these ticky-tack calls that they want to call at the start of the game, but they don't follow through until the end. When there's times where the Islanders got away with a lot of stuff in this game. The last couple games, they've gotten away with a lot.
I mean, there's a lot that they let go at the end. I think it was Connecting, right, with the little thing he had. I turned to one of my friends and I'm like, in the NBA, that's a double tech, and they're tossing both those guys. That's what I love about hockey is if they do a little gesture at each other or if something like that happens, they let it go. And that was for both sides. Late on, like you said, it was not consistent at all with the reffing, but they let them play. And if they do that the whole game, then you know what you can and can't get away with, and sometimes you're kind of expecting it. So it's definitely tough, but they have the opportunity in front of them. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
If I may add real quick, go ahead. Go ahead.
And I think the one thing is too is when you go off of that too, it's things where you just want to have timely calls timed right, and you don't want to be screwed when the ref wants to call something. Like to me, in an overtime or a double overtime or late in the third period, you want to call the most obvious thing. Like if it's an obvious trip or an obvious boarding, whatever cross check, you have to call it. But if it's not that obvious and it's a play where the player can't help himself doing it. Like Braun, he got tripped up going in and then tripped Martin. They called it at a trip. Now, thankfully, the Flyers killed it off. But regardless, I would have rather them not called that. It's one of them things where if they were to score there, there's a lot of heat going in that ref because it's something you probably don't want to be calling at that moment. But as for the Sanheim one, I mean, yeah, they did take a lot of penalties. Thankfully, they only scored the one power play goal off of the challenge. But, again, to me, it's just I don't really think they're not playing discipline. It's just they're playing more with instinct, and it's kind of hurting them at times.
You're right, and what I was going to add is, Zach, you guys talk about how the refs let it go. I wish they let a couple of things go in the NBA because that's how soft the NBA is. But Chris, I gotta ask you, what's the feeling going into Game 7?
I mean, this team has all the momentum in the world right now. Honestly, like they are due for a game where they basically dominate for majority of it. Like they are due for a 50-plus minute domination and then just carry it out for the rest of the 10 or even a 60-minute domination, whatever. They're due for an offensive game where they score a lot of goals and things like that. I mean, to me, I think they have Varlamov's number. They know they can score on him. I thought he gave up a couple weak ones. I don't know if the Islanders go back with Thomas Greiss in Game 7. It might be something if they do because they went with him in, Game 4. And it's one of them things where you don't know. I mean, they say they're confident in both of their goaltenders, but, like, to me, if I'm an Islanders fan, I'm not really confident in Varlamov. I don't think he's played good at all in the series. So, to me, I think just the Flyers your season's on the line here. And obviously we could say that now, but instead of them having to face the brink of elimination, you got a chance to move on. So that adds some more added motivation to this too. So if they can go in and play their game, which I know they will, I think they're going to move on to the conference final.
We all hope they do. Look, we need something to be hoisted in this city. It's been a little too wild.
Yeah, I think
It's only been 3 years, but I mean, the Flyers don't get. I think the Flyers don't get the respect they deserve. Sometimes for Chris, it's probably tough as a Flyers fan. They talk about the other 3 teams, and sometimes
exactly. I mean, the one thing is with me is that I'm all for it, and I understand the team hasn't been good, but there's people in Philly right now that have no idea what they're doing right now.
right.
Which to me is sad. And to me, I think the one thing is too is that there's a lot of people in this town that obviously with the Eagles and things like that, and to me, and you guys see it too. I mean, I've like my stuff, for example, like I've struggled to get, I just got 500 something subscribers the other day.
Hey, congratulations
on that. For 6 years already. Like that shows it right there. Like that's how hard it is to grow when the team isn't good for so long and things like that. So this is a treat for sure. But again, it's definitely good that they're playing well, and I'm glad that they're starting to get the that respect that they deserve.
Well, I want to congratulate you on 500 subscribers.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you're right. And you're right. It's hard. When the Flyers win, sometimes it makes back page news, especially when you got like the Eagles or Sixers are on.
Like last night they had on 6 ABC. They were talking about Game 6. It was just like a little thing, and then they started talking about Eagles training camp. I was like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, it's crazy.
No, but I can get the feel. I mean, I've been a part of the Eagles when they've been through thick and thin. Gavin, we remember those Chip Kelly days. You specifically got an opportunity to personally go see them right before the downfall. But it's a great feeling when a team bounces back up. And I mean, the Flyers, the same thing. They are a great team. They really shocked and turned a lot of heads this year, and they're really being looked at as a serious team. You got a Coach of the Year candidate, arguably the Coach of the Year. You got probably the best young goaltender in the league right now, who's just absolutely on a tear. You got a great story with a guy who's really has been fighting cancer for quite some time, and has really had a great story come on the up and coming the past 9 months. Been tough for him. I'm sure it's been tough for the whole team. I mean, it's been a crazy year as well, given the hiatus. I mean, because of it, though, they had the opportunity to get that 1 seed. And so now I think putting all that together, all the emotion, all the everything they've been through together, there's no reason they will not go out in Game 7 and give it all they got.
Yeah, exactly. And as I said, I mean, all the momentum is in their favor right now. I mean, to me, if they were to lose Game 7, I wouldn't be mad at all. I mean, you came back from a 3-1 lead. You forced the Game 7. I mean, you had one of your teammates who just came over cancer play in Game 6 and will most likely play in Game 7 as well. But, I mean, to me, there's a lot of things that go into this game, and regardless of last night's output of that game, if they had lost, I wouldn't have been mad because of just what Lindblom playing just made my day. So that was huge as well. But again, I mean, Game 7 is going to be huge. I mean, as you said, I mean, they got all the momentum in the world right now. There's really no reason why they should lose, and I think they did. I'm telling you, they are due for a game where they just dominate the whole way, and it's just going to be enjoyable. But the thing is like they're due for it, but the Islanders are due for a game where they score a lot. And they've scored, but like it's just weird. It's like times like last night they get 53 shots, and oh my god, that game should have been over long earlier before it even went to overtime. So again, it's going to be a good game. There's 2 Game 7s on today. I mean, all 3 teams that were down 3-1 in the NHL all came back and forced a Game 7. So that's huge too. I mean, Vancouver did it, the Avalanche did it, and now the Flyers did it. And 2 of those Game 7s are today, and then you got the Flyers one tomorrow. So we're gonna have to see what happens. And if they win, they fly out to Edmonton for the conference final, and we'll see what happens from there.
Chris, it's going to be a wild ride, and I hope they continue doing it. Like I said, the Flyers need something to show, like they're so alive. Like I said, they're that's back page news. Like you said earlier, the Flyers, they're talking about Game 6, they're talking about Eagles training camp. I know we focus, in the beginning of our show when we first started, our focus was on the NBA and baseball. And when the Flyers kicked off, we were like, well, we can't ignore the Flyers. We got to give attention to the Flyers. And it is sad because I was one of those people that had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
But then as I looked into it more and been watching a little bit more, I've been realized this team is really good, regardless of the mishaps they had sometimes. But my last question I have for you is, what's your score prediction for tomorrow night?
You know, I there's at times I do predictions, at times I don't. To be honest, this game I have no idea. Hockey's one of the hardest games to predict. And if you're telling me you're going into a game 7 with a team that just came back from a 3-1 lead and a team that's pissed off that they just blew a 3-1 lead, I'd have no answer for you. So I honestly, no idea.
You just want to win, right?
I just hope they win. I don't care.
Well, we're all hoping
I
that.
just hope that at the end of whatever period, they have more goals than the other team. That's it.
No doubt. And so any update, have you heard any updates about Sean Couturier yet? I'm assuming he's probably out for the series, but anything?
Well, he was in the stands. I know I talked about that a little bit. He was in the stands. That is one thing. Alain Vigneault didn't really comment on his status. He kind of just said it's that next man up mentality. And to me, that leads me to believe he's probably out for the series. If they were to win the series, I'm sure we'll get more of an update soon on if he can play in the conference final. But honestly, I think AV's he's real tight with that stuff once it gets down to the playoffs. So that's kind of why you don't really see much, and that's why all the lineup changes we kind of figure out in warm-ups. So if anything, we probably won't know when Coots is back until maybe 5 minutes before or whatever game, if it's next game or if it's in the next round if they win. But one thing I will say is that if they are eliminated and the injury is worse, then it could be bad for the start of next season as well, which they're talking about December, January, whatever. They were fearing an ACL tear. That was the biggest thing that they were fearing, because it was the same knee he injured in 2018 when he got hit by Gudis in practice and he tore his MCL. And then he had the 4 goals in 2 games in that playoff series, and he was phenomenal and played on basically half a leg. But regardless, I think the one thing is that if he's able to play, they have to throw him in. I mean, to be honest, that didn't help them last night. But again, they won, and they know they can win without him. He's a huge part of the team. But no, I personally don't have any update on him. I don't think that you will really get one until we know that he's actually in the lineup.
No, well, definitely, Chris. Thanks for coming on back-to-back days. We appreciate it. Fingers are crossed. We're hoping for a big win here in Game 7. We hope to have some more exciting news next week. But other than that, thanks for being on.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Chris, thank you for coming, and let's go Flyers.
Yeah, man.
No doubt. So coming up after this, we got a little bit more here on the Sports Thing. Got about 7 minutes left. It's been a great show so far. Great guest so far. We're excited here for the Flyers. So we just got one more topic coming up after this.
Would you like to know how you can support the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show? If so, head down to the comments on our YouTube channel. You will see 2 links there. The first is our Teespring, where you can see a wide variety of apparel products, including our signature product, the More Than Philly Sports Talk Show sweatshirts, offered in a variety of different colors, including gray, navy blue, and more. Finally, we have our Patreon page, where you can become a monthly donation member. 10% of all donations go towards an organization of our viewers' choice. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode, and if you can't donate, that's okay, because you can always share this.
And again, the links are in the description. You can always check those out. In addition to that, we are supporting this month for childhood cancer awareness. That's going to be the foundation that we're donating to, so stay tuned for some more information. I'll probably make a Twitter post this weekend, Instagram, announcing some about that, as well as some of our previous campaigns if any of you are interested in that. But otherwise, Gavin, our final topic here today, free agency. We all know Jacksonville Jaguars. We talked about Leonard Fournette being cut the other day. He's a Buccaneer now. There's a little bit more back page news, but it is definitely interesting to add up. That team is crazy right now. Tom Brady, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. I don't even know who their third wide receivers, but they got Rob Gronkowski, O.J. Howard, Cameron Brate. They got Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette and LaShawn McCoy in that backfield now. So all of a sudden, that's a pretty good backfield. Gavin, I mean, are the Buccaneers really going to be expected to make that run that they're hoping for this year?
Well, that's the expectation to happen. Oh, honestly, the NFC is no slouch. It's not like the AFC where you have your Kansas City, you have your Baltimore, then you have like the Tennessee, the expected teams. In the NFC, you have your Saints, you have your Eagles, you have your Cowboys, even though they're not going to go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. You have your 49ers, you have your Rams, you have your Seahawks. The list goes on and on. Your Packers, Zach, I know you're not high on them, but what I'm trying to say is it's harder to do it on the NFC side. Yeah, but Tom Brady, I know the offense, they set pieces around Tom Brady. He didn't have them much last year, Zach. You have your safety blanket back. You got arguably 2 of the top 10 best duo wide receivers coming up, and Chris
Probably the
Godwin.
best duo, honestly. They're both top 5, top 6 wide
Top
receivers.
5 duo, yeah, top, yeah. And you got Leonard Fournette, who, in my honest opinion, got dealt a bad deal in Jacksonville. Just kind of just
He
shuffled
still had
out.
a good year last year. He had his best statistical year. They didn't want to pay him.
Exactly. And Ronald Jones and Sean McCoy, they get the job done too. This offense is scary, but it all revolves around two things: that defense and Tom Brady's ability.
I agree, and so we'll have to see what happens. Finally, here, Gavin, Alvin Kamara. It's been up and down between him and the Saints talking. It appears he will be returning to camp and playing. Gave a little bit of a heart attack to some fantasy owners out there. I'm not one of them actually, but I'm sure a lot of people. He's a first-round pick. So, Saints, Gavin, what are your expectations for the Saints this year?
7-9 or 9-7. Flip it. Why? Because the man behind under center made some comments I think not everybody agrees with. I know some of his teammates were upset. I think, and plus, I think Drew Brees also too. I think the ability, his deep arm, the deep throw, I don't think it's going to be there anymore. I think, as you see, Zach has been allowed, medium passes, short passes.
For Michael Thomas.
And Michael Thomas, they're gonna find new ways to guard Michael Thomas. They might throw 3 people on him. He still might make the catch. You don't know. But Zach, it falls on the man under center and how people treat him around him. Not a lot of people, including me, aren't fond of him anymore as used to be. But just gotta wait and see.
No doubt we'll have to see what happens. It's got Emmanuel Sanders, but he's also up there in age. But with that being said, everyone, thank you so much for joining us this week. Back-to-back hour shows. It's great to be able to do it. We had half-hour shows early in the week. Stay tuned for next week. We're going to try to get as many hour shows in as we can. We're continuing with the show as usual. Going to week 2 of the school year. Monday, I know we can do an hour show. It's Labor Day. So thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. Stay tuned on the Twitter for updates. And, Gavin, anything else you wanted to get in before we wrap up today's show?
Yeah, me and Zach were looking into doing a More Than Philly Sports Fantasy Football League, ladies and gentlemen. So we're thinking between 8 to 12, as many people may want to do it. If you want to do it, hit me, Zach, personally on all of our social medias, Facebook people, comment on our page or however Facebook works. I'm not good with Facebook. Anyway, we want to do it with you guys, and it's going to be free. It's not going to be any money. We're going to do it for fun.
Have some updates here on the show.
And winner gets a chance to come on the show and talk whatever they want.
Awesome. All right, everybody, thank you so much, and have a great weekend.
If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. In addition, hit that bell icon and set it to all to get reminded of when we go live and when we post